The 64th Annual Grammy Awards were last night, and given how much of an impact hip hop has had now and how many awards hip hop and hip hop adjacent sounds have taken, we got some things to talk about. So, welcome to the Bar for Bar podcast, and this week we're talking Grammys. So, first off, I'm not even going to lie, I 100% forgot that the Grammys were happening this weekend, and I was more concerned about Attack on Titan, which was disappointing to say the least. Second, it's still fuck the Grammys, but we as people always get excited when there's awards and recognition involved, so it's not that surprising to talk about it. Also, there's just a lot of hip-hop stuff, even beyond just rap album or rap performances. There's, hip-hop adjacent things throughout. Like, we got R&B, which is, it's not necessarily hip-hop, but it is very closely related. And if you think otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, we'll start off. I just have the list from Reddit pulled up. But first things first is we had best performance, or rap performance. It was between Keem, Cardi, J. Cole, Drake, and Megan Thee Stallion. And, unsurprisingly, Baby Keem won for Family Ties with Kendrick Lamar. And I did do a video on the Grammys back when the nominations came out, and I'm pretty sure I thought Baby Keem was going to win anyway. Either Keem, Cardi B, or Megan. Those are like the strongest contenders in my mind. But glad Keem won. He's getting the recognition he should deserve. Although I'm sure everyone's going to say, oh, he's just an industry plant and he shouldn't be winning. But that's fine. Family Ties was good. The next one I have on here is melodic rap performance. I know how to talk. And that was between J. Cole's Pride is the Devil, Doja Cat's Need to Know, Lil Nas X, Industry Baby, Tyler the Creator, What's Your Name, and Kanye West for Hurricane. Now with this one I had a lot of things that it could be. Like honestly, all of these could have been it. I was hoping for Tyler to win this one because What's Your Name was insane and just made me look at NBA YoungBoy in an entirely different light. Like, why can't... I talked about it on the review, but that was insane. Like, he sounded entirely different and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting Lil Nas X to win this because that's kind of his lane. Like, very pop melodic rap. But maybe they wanted to go a little bit more rap heavy, which is why Kanye West won for Hurricane. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Hurricane is one of those songs that still just gives me chills every time I listen to it. And just talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, the way The Weeknd comes in is just perfect. And however you feel about The Weeknd, I mean, you can't really deny that he sounded good on this track. But yeah, it was great. I'm going to save rap album for a little bit later just because, there's other things to talk about. I don't know why it's listed or ordered this way. But then we have best rap song, and it's for Songwriters. It's between DMX for Bath Salts, Sweetie for Best Friend, Baby Keem for Family Ties, Kanye West for Jail, and J. Cole for My Life. And I'm not going to lie, when this came up, I had no idea who was even close to being considered to win, because it's not that any of these songs are bad by any means. It's just when you think of songwriters, are we talking more lyrics or are we talking about the overall sound and song? Because those are two different things. You can have really dope lyrics but a mediocre song, or a mediocre song with just I think I just said that, didn't I? But or you can have mediocre lyrics and it just be a great song. So this one I wish I had more information on the criteria or what they decided to choose for this. But I think when these nominations came out, I did think DMX was going to win strictly because of politics. They're like, oh, DMX passed away recently and we have to give him this Grammy. I just assumed the worst. Because the song wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, though. And the song had been out for a while. It was just only recently officially released. But the song that won was Jail from Kanye West and Jay-Z. So the version that doesn't have the people who probably shouldn't be talked about. Interesting, though. I think Like it was a good song. Um, I guess out of all the ones on here, it probably has the biggest impact. So that's cool. I think I wanted Baby Keem to win just because I wanted him to have more attention. But you know, it is what it is. Next, we have R&B performance. Now, personally, I'm not as into R&B as I feel like I should be because I always like R&B. It's always just a vibe and it's fun. Like it's more, it's just easier to listen to, I think. But for this, we have Snow Allegra for Lost You, Justin Bieber for Peaches, Her for Damage, Silk Sonic for Leave the Door Open, and Jasmine Sullivan for Pick Up Your Feelings. And I think when this, like, the nominations came out, I had a strong feeling that Silk Sonic would win, and they did. Well, they tied with Jasmine Sullivan for Pick Up Your Feelings, which both great songs. So I'm glad that at least there was a good amount of recognition here. The Jasmine Sullivan album is great. And then with Silk Sonic, the only reason I expected it to win is because it felt so well marketed and so industry. But I mean, it's also like you have Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, and if they don't win anything, that's a huge surprise for everyone. Like it's a combination made in heaven. I tried to pull a Bruno Mars reference and that didn't work. I'm sorry. But you know, it was pretty good. Like the song and then their whole rollout and everything was just great. Next we have traditional R&B performance, which honestly I haven't gone into really any of these guys and ladies or people. But the winner here was Her for Fight for You. I mean, I'll give it to her. Hers just a solid performer, so you can't really say anything bad. Moving on, we had progressive R&B album, which was between Eric Bellinger, Corey Henry, Hiatus Coyote, Lucky Day, Terrence Martin, Robert Glasper, Ninth Wonder, Kamasi Washington, and Masego. And I think the only reason that I even brought this one up when I saw the nominations was because of Dinner Party, because that was a really good album. Does it fit into progressive R&B? I guess. But the winner here was Lucky Day, Table for Two, which, fair enough. Then we have Best R&B Song, again, for Songwriters. Now, this is definitely going to be debatable because, again, is it lyrics or is it the overall song? I think they're going with the overall song here, but the nominees were Her for Damage, SZA for Good Days, Giveon for Heartbreak Anniversary, Silk Sonic for Leave the Door Open, and Jasmine Sullivan for Pick Up Your Feelings. And unsurprisingly, Silk Sonic won, which makes me believe it is more for that whole, like, the entire song vibe rather than, you know, like an individual piece of it. Like, yeah, you can have, again, good lyrics but mediocre song, or good song and mediocre lyrics. But honestly, out of all these, I mean, Jasmine Sullivan again, Good Days, I'm surprised didn't win, and I think Punch was surprised too. But honestly, Silk Sonic, we knew they were going to do well. Following that, we had R&B album of the year between Snow Allegra, John Baptiste, Leon Bridges, Her, and Jasmine Sullivan, and Jasmine Sullivan won. So good for her. Honestly, getting any sort of album of the year is a big deal. So congrats. I'm going to go through the more general ones first, just because, you know, they're still hip-hop adjacent, and then we'll go to the rap album of the year at the end of that. And then I have some other things to discuss regarding the Grammys. So the next category was Record of the Year, and I'm not going to list everyone here, but notable entries were Justin Bieber for Peaches, ABBA for I Still Have Faith in You, John Baptiste for Freedom, Doja Cat for Kiss Me More, Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever, Lil Nas X, Montero, Olivia Rodrigo, Driver's License, and Silk Sonic for Leave the Door Open. Leave the Door Open won again. I again was surprised. I thought that either Doja Cat or Lil Nas X, even Olivia Rodrigo, would have had a bit more of a chance just for record of the year. But again, I mean, Silk Sonic is cheating. I think overall they probably had the biggest audience and widest net thrown out, essentially. Like, I don't know anyone who's just like, nah, this is a bad song. Like, it's a good song. You can't really deny that. Next, we had Album of the Year, which was between, a lot of people again, but notably was John Baptiste for We Are, Justin Bieber for Justice, Doja Cat for Planet Her, Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever, Her, Back in My Mind, Lil Nas X for Montero, Olivia Rodrigo, Sour, Taylor Swift for Evermore, and Kanye West for Donda, and I might as well list them all because I've already gone this far. Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga for Love for Sale. I think when I saw this, I knew damn well Kanye was not going to win. I knew for sure Kanye wasn't going to win because Donda was too long. I don't think most people, like, if you just ask just some random person on the street, which album out of these ones did you listen to this year? And was it Kanye West? And most people can say no. Like, they probably listened to Hurricane or Jail or Off the Grid. Like, they've listened to like the major songs that everyone knows, but they're not going to listen to the entire project. Taylor Swift, I'm surprised didn't win because it's Taylor Swift. Lil Nas X, I felt like could have done well. Again, I mean, I guess now that he's kind of finding his lane more so, like he's not that he didn't know where his lane was, but he's like really developed it. I think the general public doesn't really care as much. When he was making more just crossover music in general, people were more feeling it, but now he's leaning more hip hop and R&B and pop. People probably just don't care as much. But the winner was John Baptiste for We Are, which just means I need to go listen to that album. I know a lot of people were hyping it up, and surprisingly, well, a lot of people were hyping it up because he's, relatively unknown, like compared to a lot of the other names on here. So for him to get that recognition, it's a pretty big deal. The last two that I want to talk about, we have Song of the Year for Songwriters. This one, unsurprisingly, Silk Sonic. It was expected. If you thought it wasn't gonna happen, I don't know what to tell you. There was two others, for Producer of the Year, and the only reason I wanted to bring that up is because Hit Boy was nominated, and unfortunately he didn't win, but that's a great look for Hit Boy. I mean, obviously he was Grammy nominated for Rap Album of the Year this year and won with Nas last year, but yeah. And then what was it? We had Best New Artist, and the reason that I wanted to bring that one up is because Baby Keem was nominated, as well as Sweetie and Kid Laroi. Japanese Breakfast is interesting that they're on there because, Japanese Breakfast has been around for a minute, but, that's fine. But the winner was Olivia Rodrigo, which I'm not surprised. Like, general appeal works out. Now to talk about the one that you guys have probably been more interested in, and I just wanted to wait and make you watch all of this nonsense first. So, Rap Album of the Year. The one that makes the most sense for this channel, and yeah. So this was between J. Cole's The Off-Season, Drake's Certified Lover Boy, Nas' King's Disease 2, Tyler the Creator's Call Me If You Get Lost, and Kanye West's Donda. Now, I believe when the nominations came out, I immediately took Donda and Certified Lover Boy out of the running because they were not good albums, and like compared to the other ones on here. Like, yeah, you can enjoy the albums; they're fine, but I wouldn't say they're Grammy worthy, especially when compared to the other ones on here. J. Cole, even, I mean, that was a stretch. The only reason I said Drake and Kanye first is because they released around the same time, and there was this whole big deal like, oh, who's gonna drop first? Who's maybe Drake's waiting for Kanye? Like, no one cares. Literally, no one outside of you weird hip hop heads, including myself, cared enough. But same thing with J. Cole. Like, I don't. Yeah, J. Cole does well. He sells, and people generally like him. I liked the off season. It was on my top 10 last year because I listened to it a lot. Was it Grammy worthy? Nah, I don't think so. But it is a good look for him. So that brings us to just Nas and Tyler, both of whom have won Grammys. And I honestly thought it could go either way. The only reason that I felt that Tyler would win over Nas, which he did, is because Nas won last year. And they're like, nah, you only get one. You can't, we'll respect you this year, but if you put out any more music, nah. It is interesting though, because I feel like I liked King's Disease 2 more than King's Disease 1. And I feel like a lot of people did too, but it is what it is. But, you know, Tyler won, and that's a great look from him. Because this was a proper rap album from Tyler. And beyond that, it was a Gangsta Grillz album, which has a whole lot of history behind it as well. Like, first of all, they start out as mixtapes, and I mean, there's a lot of history with Drama, you know, being persecuted for the mixtape stuff. So there's a lot of details there. But to have this is like as hip hop as it can get. You have, like, I feel like if it wasn't Tyler and it's still won, it would have been a great look regardless because Gangsta Grillz. But because it's Tyler and because it's a Gangsta Grillz album, it's even better. The reason I'm saying that is because you have Tyler who just kind of does whatever he wants, honestly. And it's like, and then you have DJ Drama doing his ad-libs all over it. But it's such a good album because aside from it just being a rap album, there is an overall story going on through it, which none of the other albums on this list have. All these other albums on here are just, you know, individual songs that are sequenced well together, for the most part. But with Call Me If You Get Lost, you have a story being told. And it's not to the point where it's like, oh, this is a super over your head concept album, kind of like Igor was, which also won a Grammy. But this instead is like, all right, well, there is a story, but there's also all these hard ass songs all the way through. And I'm here for it. Like, that's the thing with Tyler. You're going to get something different every time, but when he goes into an album, he's going to go all in. And that's exactly what he did here. He went all in with it and really just said, fuck it, I'm gonna make a rap album. I'm gonna make a Gangsta Grillz album. I think he even tweeted that out that he wanted to do that hell long ago. So I'm glad that that won. But it's crazy. Like, this honestly, well, I was gonna say this is one of the few years where we get a lot of nominations that are very hip hop. But we did get a little bit of that last year, I believe. But you know, it's interesting. Like, we got all the big names, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know, or I can't recall any other big name that dropped last year that wouldn't have been nominated here. Like, you have Drake, you have J. Cole, you have Nas, you have Kanye, you have Tyler. They're all, well, I'm probably missing somebody, but those are some of the biggest names that dropped in hip hop last year. I guess you could say, oh, what about Baby Keem? What about DMX? Like, yeah, those albums came out, and while you may be able to argue that those albums are better than some of the other ones on here, it's, I think, general appeal also. Yeah, that's something you have to keep in mind. Like, these artists on here that were nominated for Rap Album of the Year have really big fan bases. I don't know at what point we're gonna start seeing like other artists like slightly smaller get into Rap Album of the Year, like we got with John Baptiste. Like that was great for him, but I don't know when that's gonna happen for hip hop, or if that's gonna happen for hip hop. Maybe we need more focused hip hop awards that aren't super commercialized. Something that's more focused on, well, not even the underground, but just like everything in general. Like have more set categories. I don't know. Like it's not an easy thing to really set up because you're gonna upset someone. You'd be like, oh, so this is the underground category. This is the independent category. This is the major category. This is the less than major category. Like, how are you gonna differentiate all that? I don't know. I think the closest thing that we can get to is what BET is doing, but even then, no one really cares about the BET Awards. I think for some reason, the Country Music Awards is still a bigger awards thing and more recognized than anything else. But also, hip hop is really young, and we've still got time. That could also go into the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, where is it even the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anymore? I don't know. That's enough rambling on about the individual awards. I know there's other awards that happened, but those aren't quite relevant to me. But you know, congratulations to everyone who won and who was nominated, because that's, even getting nominated is a huge look. Like you then you can go around saying you Grammy Award nominated. Like that's a big deal. The other thing that I really wanted to bring up was during their memorial segment. Again, I didn't watch it. I just saw this after the fact because you know, I avoided Twitter during Attack on Titan time, or until I watched it. But I saw this, and a lot of people were talking about it. But it's for, I guess, Virgil's memorial. Virgil Abloh, if you somehow aren't aware, was a fashion designer, very big in not just hip hop, but just the community in general. I mean, Off-White, Louis Vuitton, Nike, like he's done, or Adidas, like he's done so much for not just hip hop, but just fashion in general. So when they did their memorial segment, they put Virgil up there, but they labeled him as hip hop fashion designer, which, you know, you could just be like, oh, it's whatever, it's not a big deal. They just don't know how else to place him. And while you could say yes, he is a hip hop fashion designer, a lot of rappers and people in hip hop appreciate Virgil. They wear his branding. They, you know, like they really leaned into Virgil. Like, yes, you can argue that, but he's way more than just that. And to put him into the box of hip hop fashion designer is really just a nice way of saying he's a black man that did fashion. Like, it's kind of like how, I think it was Igor that won like Urban Album of the Year or Urban Contemporary Album of the Year. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, Tyler went out and said, like, this is just what happens when you don't know what to call black people music. Like, it's not that they're wrong necessarily, because yes, he did have, like I said, an impact on hip hop and hip hop fashion. I mean, look at Griselda. Like, they're shouting out Off-White all the time. But to say that he's just a hip hop fashion designer is incredibly limiting and just isn't, it's not good enough. Like, you're just saying like, oh yeah, he was just doing hip hop stuff. Like, no, he was doing so much more than that, and it's upsetting to say the least. I mean, I don't know that anything will come of it out of like people being upset regarding it. Because, the people, if you know, sort of thing. Like, if you know about Virgil, you know that he's more than just hip hop. Like, yes, he had an impact, but he's more than that. And yeah, I don't really have anything else beyond that to say regarding it. It's just, like, I didn't think too much of it at first, and then, because, like, again, fuck the Grammys. But, like I said, to say that he's just a hip-hop fashion designer is incredibly limiting, and honestly feels like it's downplaying his role in fashion. Like, there's way more to it than that. But with that, I'm gonna stop my rambling about the Grammys. This week, I again don't have any songs because I had a feeling I would ramble on for too long, and I almost did. Next week, because I was actually planning to do this week. Next week, I'm going to do, I guess, best albums of the quarter, like from beginning of the year to the end of March. So I'll throw some songs out there for y'all then. In the meantime, because it is a week away, let me know if there's any albums that I should check out and that are worth listening or mentioning at least. Because, I will. I'll probably miss something. But that's all I got for this ramble. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Grammys and all the awards. Did anyone get snubbed that you thought should have won? Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more content and rambling like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.